Good morning, everyone. Welcome back. My skid steer here. It's time for some new tracks for it. So I thought we'd do a little like how to change tracks on this thing, and also a little bit of like how this thing has been since it's been 3 years now that I've had this thing. So here is the situation with the track. One of the cables broken in here, and that's just gonna bust apart someday. So I bought some new tracks for it. When I bought this machine, I believe it had the original tracks on it, and it looked like I was only going to get a couple hundred hours out of the tracks anyway as far as tread life goes. And as you can see, the treads are basically gone, so it was time to change them regardless. But yeah, I got 3 years out of those tracks and about 200 hours, so yay. So these are the replacement tracks. As you can see, they got a lot more meat. So those should be a lot more grabby than these bald looking things right here. So I did do a video about the machine. I think it was like 6 months after owning it or something like that. This was the first piece of equipment that I bought to help the business out, and it took me several years to get to the point where I could actually justify a purchase like this. The total thing, the machine and all the attachments that day, was $28,000. That was a big thing for me. So it's actually been, if I think to like every single thing I purchased, this is my number one best purchase. This stupid little thing. So this machine turned out to be quite a bit more handy and useful than I ever really imagined. Its small size, great agility, and pretty good capacity actually makes it a very useful tool for me. And probably the biggest feature that really makes it useful for me is the fact that it's a stand-on unit with no cab. Because most of the tasks that I use this machine for, I'm working with the machine. I'm not just standing there operating it. So I'm not just sitting there running an attachment for hours on end. I am on and off the machine, working with the machine to get things loaded onto it, things like that. So my most frequently used attachment is going to be the pallet forks. And a great example of this workflow is going to be like offloading slabs. So I'll use the machine to pry the log open a little bit. I'll get off the machine. I will insert something thicker than the forks and then drive the rest of the way in and pick the slab off the stack. So a lot of things I'm doing, I'm on and off the machine, and if this had a cab on it, it would not be nearly as effective. And with its small size, it can go into a lot of places that a lot of other machines can't. I can get this thing into my shop and move machines around in there if I need to. And what's also nice with it being more a skid steer is it can turn around in place, so you have the flexibility and maneuverability to literally turn on a dime without having to back up and do a 1,000-point turn like you would if you're driving a tractor or something like that. And it also hits really nicely with the capacity that it has for the things that I do. Most of the things that I move around with the machine are only a few hundred pounds, and that covers most of what I'm going to do on a day-to-day basis. Those are those kind of awkward and annoying tasks that this machine can take care of in a few minutes. But really up to about 1,000 pounds, this machine can do that. And I don't typically have things over 1,000 pounds unless I'm trying to move an entire log or an entire stack of slabs or something like that. So overall, this thing has actually been really reliable. That was one of my biggest concerns with buying an older piece of equipment. This one here is coming up on 10 years old, and I haven't had anything I would describe as a major issue with it. And in the other video, I talked about a couple things that were happening back then. I had the fuel shut-off solenoid go bad. That was a $50 part, which was just a quick bolt-on fix. I also had an issue with the fuel only being drawn from one tank, and that resolved itself. I think there might have been something caught in one of the lines that fixed itself up. Don't know, haven't had that problem in a long time. And then the only other major thing that had happened was the bearings in that front idler went out, which I'm pretty sure this has the original undercarriage on it anyway, so it's not a huge concern, just more of an annoyance than anything else. The parts for the repair were, I think, under $100, and I got all the parts for the other side too, so not a huge deal. As far as major things, these tracks are going to be the biggest thing that I've done to this machine. The pair of tracks is about $1,200, and again, I kind of knew this was coming for a while, so it wasn't any sort of big shock or concern. Okay, on to this side. That's a lot more tread. So there's the broken spot. You can see how this track works. It's got a bunch of cables inside it here, and it's got these steel pads where it actually bears on the rollers. Cables broke. This piece came out, and this is pretty well torn. But I definitely got my money's worth, so to speak, out of these tracks. Okay, let's put this on. These are quite a bit tighter because they haven't stretched out yet. So on the idler wheel, I replaced the seals and bearings on the other side because they completely failed, as I mentioned. This side definitely needs them too. The seals have failed, but I need to use the machine tomorrow. This is still spinning okay. It's a little... it doesn't have much life left. So I'll pull this thing apart after this week and I'll swap these seals and bearings as well. But I don't feel like doing that today. It's crazy like how much smoother the ride is now too with some treads on there. Kind of weird. So I'm gonna leave the adjustment doors off for now. We're gonna take this thing around and put some miles on the tracks, hopefully stretch them out a little bit. Then we'll retighten them and then this should be It should be all done. You going for a ride? Nope? Okay. So I know it's obvious, but it's incredible, like the feeling you get, because this is connecting to the ground so much better. I feel like I'm actually got a lot more power being transferred into the ground, which is obvious because you actually got something biting now. But just the feeling of being on there with that much more tread, it's very different than those. So I think this one is, that one's a little loose. This one is just about perfect still. So I am gonna just cover this one up, put that plate on. We'll give the other side a quick little tighten, put the cover on, and then this little project is done. All right, all ready for moving slabs off the sawmill this week. Sawing week. Should be fun. All right, it's been a little over a month now. Conditions are a little different. Got through all the sawing that I needed to. You've probably seen some of those videos already, so that's pretty exciting. And this is this right here. This is one of the conditions I was the most interested in seeing what a difference these tracks make, and that's going to be running up and down this driveway in the winter, because with those racing slicks that I had on there before, coming back up here sometimes didn't really happen. Especially not with the blower actually down. So these actually can bite through, you know, the snow and get down into the actual driveway and make a little more contact. There's a lot less slipping and whatnot than there used to be, which is super duper nice. So having this machine and having it be an assistant for me for moving things around, as well as have the versatility to do other things like run a snowblower, is kind of nice. So I thought I'd just share the one thing that I don't really like about it. It's not a huge deal, but the ground speed is not the best. It's not too bad if you're just kind of working in like one little area, it's fine. But if you have to travel across a property, it's kind of slow. And actually coupled with that is the thing that I actually don't like the most about it, and that is that the speed in reverse is some fraction of the speed in forward. It's kind of annoying, because a lot of the times with this machine, you might be pulling things and reversing out of a situation or whatever you're doing. Going backwards is the best way to do it, like moving a trailer or something. And that slow speed is just, it's annoying. That's really it. It's just kind of an annoyance that it's just that much slower, you know, in reverse. I thought I'd just share that one annoyance with you, because everything else is fantastic. It's a great machine. So I have not changed the bearings in this either quite yet. I think that's going to be a nice winter in the barn project once the barn's actually, you know, usable and whatnot. So that'd be a good little winter project to get off the list. But at least for now, I'm keeping an eye on it. Seems to be fine still. So yeah, that's the skid steer, and 3 years later, still great. So that's gonna do it for this one. Thank you, as always, for watching. I greatly appreciate it. If you have any questions or comments about why I live in this cold place, please feel free to leave a comment. As always, I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have. And until next time, happy woodworking. It's cold here.